Hello, Wanderlusters. It is Rebecca here. We're doing live at 5. It's our free training today. And I'm really excited about this one. I hinted at this a little bit on my Instagram. If you're ready to watch this one, feel a little uncomfortable, really kind of do some mindset self-reflecting. So anyone who's new to the live trainings, hello. I am Rebecca. I am the Wanderlust VA, and I do live free trainings every Wednesday. I run the Laptop Freedom programs, which, stay tuned, are opening again soon. Yay! And I've got a lot of really special offers as well, and lots of free training and mentoring inside this group. So Laptop Freedom Babes, Wanderlust.
This is Hello from Greece.
Hello. So I try every Wednesday to have some kind of beverage. I'm even thinking of changing the name to Coaching and Cocktails. I think I'm kind of into that. Anyway, today's beverage is a breve. Can you let me know if in the comments you've ever tried a breve? It's a latte with cream. It's a lot. It's a lot. I think I bought it like an hour ago and I'm still working through it. So grab a drink, grab a beverage, tea, coffee, margarita, beer, glass of wine, whatever it is. And we are going to really kind of tuck in. Whether you're watching this or listening to this in the background, all totally fine. I don't do visual PowerPoints or anything like that because I know, goodness gracious, how embarrassing would it be to like tuck in and watch a PowerPoint presentation when you're starting your VA business and people might not even know it is what you're doing. Okay, so today's topic, fear of success. Okay, so we hear fear of failure all the time. It is like a go-to line, it is a quote, it is the title of millions of books, all that kind of stuff, fear of failure. But here's the thing, I'm not totally convinced that that is what everyone has, fear of failure. Because, you know, for example, I talk to women about joining the Laptop Freedom program or receiving mentoring, all that kind of stuff. These avenues that basically very, very closely guarantees you success in starting a VA business, and yet they don't want to take that leap. And so it's like, okay, I've got to go back to the drawing board. I've got to think, if they can get like all the pieces, all the building blocks and how to start a VA business and receive mentoring, community, all that juicy jazz, and they still don't take it, then maybe it's success that is freaking people out. Okay, so hear me out. Everyone take a sip of their drink. Woo! Okay. At least once everyone should order a breve. It's super creamy. And feel free to ask any comments or questions in the comments. I get them here live. So, fear of failure. I think we love to lean on that. Like, I'm afraid to fail. My ego doesn't want me to fail. I'm afraid to tell people I'm starting my VA business because then what if it doesn't amount to something? That's a pretty easy one to lean on. But I have so many women crawl inch towards, you know, curiosity and talking about a program, all that kind of stuff, and then they come up against sort of like a roadblock. And now I'm wondering, let's talk about the fear of success. The fear of success means it's very similar to the fear of failure. The ego can't stand fear of failure. But here's the other thing. The ego has a hard time with success as well, because this is what success means in starting your virtual assistant business. A, it means you're different now. You work for yourself now. You work remotely, you set your own schedule, maybe you work from home, and maybe that means that some of your community, your friends, your past coworkers are going to judge you, or they're not going to understand, or maybe you live with housemates and you're like, how am I going to be able to start a business and work from home with my housemate and not let them know and tie them in? This is embarrassing. So the ego has a hard time with success too, because that means there's a shift. That means there's a change in sort of who you are and how you identify. Give me a little amen if you're like, oh, this is interesting. Rebecca's onto something, okay? Succeeding as a VA also means that what you were doing before, you didn't necessarily have to be doing. And, we always say like everything in life is part of the building blocks, the 9-to-5 job that you hate or have or whatever. It leads you to virtual assistant. It gives you so many valuable skills. It's something we have to be really thankful of. Maybe being pissed off at our boss and hating that commute and filling up our car with gas is in fact the fuel we need to start our virtual assistant business, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without those things. However, when we successfully do something, it means that what we were doing before no longer identifies with us, and that can be kind of altering and confusing. I've got some things here. Oh, look, so many people on. Hello, Michaela. Hello, Jayanne. I love it. Hello, Stephanie. Amazing. Okay, fear of success. How do you tell your friends and family and community that you are now an online digital nomad? How do you explain to them what a virtual assistant is when you're still kind of understanding what it is? That's like terrifying, right? Like, why don't we just screw it? You know what? Let's not do it. Let's stick it to our 9-to-5. Not only are we afraid to fail at being a virtual assistant, even though we've got these programs and mentors and community that can support us, what if we succeed? Oh no, what will that mean? How will I tell my friends and family? Will they judge us? What if I become a virtual assistant and I don't become a digital nomad? What if I don't travel the world and wear long dresses that billow in the Greek wind? That's totally okay. That's totally okay. And this is what the other thing that success can mean. It can mean that we suddenly have this like unleashed freedom, and what the hell would we do with it? And it's a lot that we're not used to. And so that's why it's really important to take incremental steps when starting your virtual assistant business. So sometimes I think that instead of succeeding, we'd rather try and fail so that we can just squash this idea. It's like, you know what? I knew it. I knew virtual assisting was too good to be true. I knew I wouldn't be able to do it. So I'm just going to try half-ass. I hope I fail because then I can just prove to myself that I should stay in my shitty 9-to-5 and that this is what life is like and I can't live this digital nomad dream. There is this fear of success, and it's really, really interesting. And so it's something to marinate on, and it's something to be mindful of. There's always fears that come with starting anything new, and virtual assisting is big. It's new, it's big. It means you work for yourself, it means you work online. And so instead of making it really big, we can break it up into incremental steps. It can start, what is my hair doing? It can start as a side hustle next to your 9-to-5, right? It can just be an extra $1,000 a month. You don't have to live off of it right away if you don't want to, or if that is too much pressure. Finding clients on your own makes you sick to your stomach, then maybe we start to look at subcontracting gigs, or maybe you poke your nose around a VA agency to really support you. What about joining a community of women so you're not alone in building this business where you're going to work for yourself? Following suit in someone who's done it before, step by step, What are the things that overwhelm you, that you're afraid that you're going to fuck up on? Is it the taxes? Is it insurance? Is it contracts and agreements? Do these things make your head want to melt and explode? These fears that come up, which are so normal, the first thing that we get to do is be like, hey, fear, I see you. Hello, I'm human. I know you're here. You're always going to be here. Fears do not go away. Fears mean that I care. Fears mean that I'm not like totally loony and that I've actually, I'm keeping track of my health and safety and all that kind of stuff. The first thing to do is identify them. Be like, hey, I see you. It doesn't mean that you're going to kick them to the curb or you turn your back to them. It's just like, hey, I see you, fear. Cool. Okay. Can we make you realistic? Can we give ourselves tools and look at our strengths about navigating these fears about starting a business? So this live training is short, but I hope it's deep, and I really hope there's something for you to marinate there with, think about, go into a mindset and be like, okay, there are a lot of things that are stopping me from starting my virtual assistant business, even though there's lots of tools and support and mentorship and programs and courses and all that kind of stuff out there to help me get started right now. But I'm not, because I have these fears. Can I identify them? Can I acknowledge their existence? Can I say, okay, hey, fear, I see you. And then from there, we get to incorporate them into our journey, but not let them stop us. And there's fear of failure, fear of success. Those are the two kind of big ones, because in both of those, the ego is screaming and kicking and yelling and saying, don't do it, oh my gosh, let's just stay here where we're comfortable, because this is how I identify myself. Instead of, the fear of failure, what if you try and fail? What would that mean about you? P.S. It means that you try and you work really hard. And fear of success, what would that mean about you as well? How would that change your identity? How would you then grow and expand and step into this new person? How do you talk to your friends and family when they're complaining about their 9-to-5 and yet you made a change and left your 9-to-5? How do you sympathize with them? How do you say, well, why don't you just make a change and leave your shitty 9-to-5 like I did, Or how do you tell your parents who are like archaic in the digital age that you run an online contracting business, that you don't even really know what it is, and you're still exploring it, and there's a lot of oh shit moments, but you're giving it a try? These are all these things about success that come bubbling up that make us want to turn back and go back to where we were. It takes a real sense of bravery, and I always say this in the Laptop Freedom Program. I always tell the ladies, just put it in the fuck it bucket. I'm going to coin that. Put it in the fuck it bucket. And it just means there's going to be fears. The ego is kicking and screaming. That you're going to have to maybe explain yourself or not explain yourself. Put it in the fuck it bucket and try. Give it a try. Be brave. It doesn't have to be huge. Break it down into small steps. Surround yourself with support, and acknowledge that fears are real in any endeavor. Think back on all of your past changes and endeavors, and you're probably scared shitless, but you did it anyway. And so if you're here, if you're watching this live training, it means you want to be a virtual assistant. And I don't want fears to stop you. They're not going away, but there are ways to incorporate them into your journey, acknowledge their existence, navigate through them, knowing that they're just there to protect your ego and keep you safe and to check in on you. And that's not a bad thing. That's what makes you human. Okay, I'm going to finish my brevet. Let me know if you've ever had one. They're kind of wild. And thank you so much for joining this live training. Let me know in the comments what kind of thoughts and emotions came up for you, what resonated with you. Was it like, ooh, I hate it when Rebecca talks about fears because I like to just turn my back on them and pretend that they don't exist? Or are you like, yes, amen, you hit the nail on the head, fears are with me, but that is okay. And I'm ready to write them down, acknowledge them, all that juicy jazz. Okay, and remember, stay tuned. We've got some really fun announcements coming up. We're opening the programs again soon, and we got some mini courses coming down the path. There's some really fun stuff, and I always love this community, and I hope that this was of value. Namaste.